They are going non-stop. I mean, the Russian army still tries to reach more ground in the Kharkiv region. For today, they sent a new convoy. It was a reinforcement of their brigade on occupied territories, but it was hit. It was stopped even before reaching Ukrainian positions. There were some of the armored vehicles, small ones and bigger ones. We know that Russia tries to send more reinforcements to the Kharkiv region. They still have the goal to take more ground, at least Vovchansk city. It was their first goal, and after that they want to advance to other settlements like, for example, Kupiansk from the north. One more Russian vehicle was damaged. You may see the Russian side on it, the northern group of the Russian army, which they concentrate in Kharkiv direction. I think that the vehicle is mostly intact and Ukraine might have trophied it, but instead our guys finished the vehicle using the FPV drone, just not let Russia to evacuate it from the gray area. Ukraine is using tons of HIMARS to hit the Russian logistics in the place. Those photos allegedly were taken in the Kharkiv region, showing the scale of how Ukraine uses standard HIMARS shells. The approval from the United States for using the HIMARS is really a game changer for Ukrainian defenders. But still, the standard Gemilres HIMARS shells are unable to reach many of the Russian airfields in Belgorod Oblast. That's why Russian aviation is mostly free, loading those bombs just on their airplanes and later on launching them to target Ukrainian infrastructure, including Kharkiv and, moreover, Ukrainian positions right at the battlefield. As you may see, they do not afraid to put those bombs right on the apron, so it's a perfect target for ATACMS. But for now, Ukraine still doesn't have the permission to use ATACMS missiles to target the Russian military airfields, unfortunately. Hello my friends and welcome. My name is Dennis and this is the latest update from Ukraine. Right, we have the information in the press that France allowed Ukraine to use Scalp AG missiles to target the Russian military bases on the Russian territory, so probably Ukraine is able to get rid at least of the part of the Russian airplanes which Russia uses to hit Ukrainian infrastructure. So definitely those missiles have a long range capable to do it. So definitely those missiles have a long range capable to do it. I wonder if the United Kingdom also approved that step for Ukraine. Also we have great news. One of the German generals told that Ukraine got the permission to use some sort of the weaponry, German-made weaponry, against the Russian forces on the Russian territory as well. So it's just a matter of time that the Russian airplanes will be hit on their airfields close to Ukrainian border. But still, ATACMS missiles are in a way better because those are very hard to intercept. They have ballistic trajectory. This is the cruise missile, and potentially the Russian air defense might shut down it in the skies, but it happens very rarely. But to be more effective with those cruise missiles, the Ukrainian Air Force needs to obtain F-16s. And from the latest information, we know that one of the instructors of one of the NATO countries, Greece, is already in Kiev, probably checking infrastructure, and he will probably also fly with the Ukrainian pilots during their final step of the training. Well, at least one person, one instructor, was reported to be in Ukraine. Well, good news, probably Ukraine soon obtains those airplanes. It should happen in the coming weeks, probably even the next one or the one after the next one. My friends, if you want to support the job that I do daily on YouTube, you may join my Patreon page. It is available in the video description just below. Thank you so much for your kind support. We're gonna continue with the military map just for a while, and later on we're gonna switch to the general news, politics, and what is happening around Ukraine. So we must state 100% that the Russian advancement in the Kharkiv region absolutely stopped by Ukrainian defenders. Moreover, according to many of the reports and together built analytic Repke say that Ukraine was able to liberate few of the quarters of the Vovchansk city during the counteroffensive maneuver, which has not yet been officially confirmed by Ukraine officials. However, the information about the counterattack is coming from many of the sources. Also, Russians complained about it. But there is no military map update about the case. We know that Ukraine sent some extra forces, that's it. The information about the actual frontline change for now is classified. And no new drone videos are shared into the internet from Vovchansk. But in general, the sign is good. Ukraine holds. At the same time, as I told you, Russia is creating more forces, so they send reinforcements to the Belgorod Oblast. But again, Ukraine uses HIMARS to target those. So here's the report from Bild. They say that definitely Ukraine counterstrikes the Russian army in 3 of the areas. In 3 of the areas, one is here, and the other one is here. For the first time, Russia started to use the long-range artillery system Malva. It is the analog of Ukrainian-made Bogdana or the French-made Caesar artillery system. This drone photo was published today in internet, and probably this vehicle is still in one piece. Just the surveillance mission was done on the Russian territory. Well, hopefully HIMARS would take care about this one. This is how it looks. Definitely a much bigger track, a much bigger base compared to Bogdana, for example, artillery, which Ukraine produces. Our soldiers clarified that it was impossible to hit Malva because it was there few days ago. By that time, Ukraine wasn't allowed to use Western-made weaponry. It's also Ukrainian soldiers says that now we can use munition, the Western-made HIMARS, for example. That's why Malva doesn't appear in the place any longer. So it was the old photo taken a few days ago. Bingo. Guys, sorry about the Cyrillic letters, but you understand what they mean. I just told you. For me, it's kind of interesting to dig for some certain information about why is it happening, why this one wasn't targeted, for example, or what happened at that particular place. By the way, today we're going to speak about a big operation which Ukraine conducted, trophying the Russian kind of the rare tank T-72B3M modification. For now, let's continue with the front lines update. So as we understand from yesterday, all of that part together with Kalinivka village is located in the gray zone. That's why we have this update from Myko 73 showing the vehicle that I showed you yesterday. The vehicle somehow went from the Russian positions and found its end on the other part of the shore. And still, it's early to say that Russia is capable, really capable to cross this river. But we understand that this bridge is intact, so Russia may send their forces. I think that finally Ukraine has to get rid of the bridge if somehow Russia would advance towards Kalinivka with their main forces. Near Ocheretino, Russia also tries to attack. They're losing lots of their vehicles, but also they cause losses for Ukraine. For example, in Sokol, they were able to hit the Ukrainian tank. At the same time, they're losing lots of the BMPs, armored vehicles, and tanks, even behind the front lines. Nova Bakhmutovka now is really far behind the front lines. If we go to the Donetsk area, there Russia advances gradually, taking and occupying Krasnogorivka, but they do it very, very slowly. So let's check out the frontline update. Yesterday, today, they took a couple of the quarters, that's it. So for now, I don't see a huge breakthrough from the Russian side through Ukrainian defense. No, it is not happening as Russia planned it to be, for example, in Kharkiv region or on the east. At the same time, we understand that the scale of the fights increased a lot. We may judge it on the Russian army losses in May. 38,940 soldiers confirmed to be wounded or KIA. And those are the highest losses in the Russian army per month since the beginning of the war. It's just crazy. In the Kharkiv region alone, Russia loses 8 soldiers per 1 Ukrainian. I personally monitor Russian channels as well, and I watch tons of the videos how they complain that they are thrown in the mid-waves for the straightforward attacks. So Russia simply doesn't care about their personnel. Guys, just for you to understand the scale of the losses, the Soviet Union lost 18,000 soldiers in Afghanistan for long 10 years. Here, yes, almost 40,000, but KIA, if we speak about total losses, is very close to the Soviet Union losses, total losses in Afghanistan. But here's just a single month, and there were 10 years. It's unimaginable, and Putin still calls it a special military operation, not even a war. Alright, today Ukraine hit one more oil refinery facility and also oil storage in the Komi Republic of the Russian Federation. The strike was conducted using the UAV. Almost every week Ukraine aims towards those oil refineries and already hit many of them. The fuel prices in Russia are rising high, but still it's not so critical for them because they start to export fuel from Belarus and Kazakhstan. Some sort of the BRICS news reported that China says it will forcefully stop Taiwan independence. The origin of the source is kind of strange, I wouldn't believe it. This information was shared on X and around the public. It is not correct. However, there is the possibility that China would try to intervene into Taiwan using their military forces. We do not exclude that scenario either. What China now does that it blocks all of the peace initiatives coming from Ukraine. In a couple of weeks there will be a peace summit in Switzerland. The idea for it is coming from Zelensky, and there are many of the countries which will be presented. However, no China, no Saudi Arabia, no Brazil, including Russia obviously, which wasn't even invited to this summit. Today Zelensky told that China is asking other countries not to participate in the summit in Switzerland, because China came out with their own peace initiative and Russia supports that, as well as Brazil and probably even Saudi Arabia, that peace should be negotiated directly between Ukraine and Russia, and the deal involves the Russian interests mainly. They want Ukraine to agree on the Russian demands for Crimea, for Donbass, and after that Putin might freeze the war for some certain time period, that's it. Mainly it means the capitulation of Ukraine in this case. On the other side, Zelensky plans involves taking out Russian forces from all of the Ukrainian territories, which is really hard to achieve in the current reality and with the resources Ukraine has. This plan is being mainly supported by the Western countries, but as reported in media, the United States President Joe Biden will not attend the summit either. And without many countries presented, I don't think that it will play that big role as it was planned to play at first. The Ukrainian delegation went to Singapore, so Zelensky is now in Singapore, and the Chinese delegation tried to avoid facing the Ukrainian one. By the time Zelensky spoke in the hall, the Chinese representatives left it. Again, it means that for them, Ukraine is not important. They see it as one more province of Russia. They're in a very close relationship with Russia. They want to support Russia, and they don't care about Ukraine. Moreover, in general, this war is kind of the profitable for China, because now they get very cheap resources from the Russian Federation. So in general, from what I can see, the peace in Ukraine is not possible because two of those very different peace plans are just in conflict with each other, and the group of the countries which support one or the other plan will never agree on the terms and conditions listed in the opposite plan. So it's not possible to reach a peace agreement over Ukraine without, let's say, military defeat or significant losses, really significant losses from Russia or from Ukraine. That's why it's important to support Ukraine with weaponry constantly. Otherwise, Russia will win if they're gonna break through the main Ukrainian defense lines, and we see that Russia now tries to do it. Kind of the interesting strategy Trump decided to use during his election campaign. He said that he will open secrets of the Kennedy assassination, of 9/11 attack, and the Jeffrey Epstein case if he gets elected as the next United States president. So if you want to know those secrets and the truth behind those, vote for Trump. Why he calls like that? Because there are lots of the conspiracy theories about that topic. Those attract lots of the attention, and finally people would think, okay, Trump is going to unleash the secrets, but actually he might do it even now because he was the United States president. He got the access to that secret information. Yes, still the information about those events are secret, part of it is secret, but you will not find sensation if it will be uncovered. No, Donald Trump just uses this secret information for his own profit in this election campaign, nothing more. Trump also attended a UFC 302 show, I would say, in New Jersey, days after he was convinced for committing a crime, basically. So he is using those events to increase his popularity. Also, Trump met with the Russian propaganda fighter, ex-fighter Habib Nurmagomedov, I guess it's his name, and he also promised to stop the war against Palestine. Habib and Kadyrov are really close friends. But since sanctions were not applied on this guy, he is able to fly to New Jersey for sport events. Germans gave the permission to use Patriot systems to shut down the Russian airplanes, so there are two of the options: to use Storm Shadow to target the Russian military airfields on the ground, I mean their airplanes, or to use Patriot systems to target those airplanes right in the skies. However, by moving Patriot systems closer to the front line, there are also increasement of the risk for those Patriot systems because Ukraine lost at least 3 of the launchers, as it was reported and filmed before. Russia uses the Iskander ballistic missile in combination with surveillance Zala drone to find and hit Ukrainian air defense systems, or sometimes rocket artillery systems like HIMARS. At least one unit was destroyed in that way. Some of the new modifications of the Russian defense, for example, for their supply motorcycles, they put this mesh on top and on the sides. Wonder if it helps. Probably not, because the shrapnel from the drone strike will be all around, hitting rider, of course. It looks strange, but North Korea is launching balloons to the South Korea with rubbish. Hundreds of those balloons were found in South Korea, and they were traveling by air from the north, and it's just a simple rubbish, sometimes even poo, so kind of the strange move from North Korea. Right about the captured Russian tank T-72B3M, one of the Ukrainian journalists went to the front lines to speak directly with the soldiers who took part in this operation to take the tank out from the gray zone. I already showed you this video on my channel, but I didn't know all of the details of the operation. So the tank was hit right in the turret from the aft part. The explosives armor worked well, but there were some of the wires on this road, I know, cable lines or something, so the caterpillars of the tank went inside those wires and just stuck. The Russian tank totally lost the steering and hit their own BMP, which was kaputted before. The Russian crew left the tank, all the 3 soldiers, and later on, in just few minutes, were kaputted by Ukrainian FPV. And this is where the shell went into the tank, hitting the part of the explosives armor, contact 5, I think, or maybe contact 1. So the tank was staying in the place, and Ukraine decided to evacuate it. A tank was equipped with modern devices like electronic warfare. They had several of those. Probably you may see a generator which feeds some sort of the batteries of the electronic warfare just on top. It's the drone jammer. They also installed secondary anti-drone systems, so it's a very, very capable machine from that perspective. Nevertheless, it was hit by the FPV drone, but very close to Ukrainian positions, so all of the Ukrainian drones missed the tank, then it was really far away. Also, this tank has a new aiming equipment and better defense or armor protection. So during the night time, Ukrainian crew delivered a new accumulator batteries to the tank. Each battery weighs around 70 kilograms. It's like the weight of the adult person, and they had to be delivered there manually. So the group of the Ukrainian soldiers, totally 7 of the people, performed this operation, taking the batteries for more than 1.5 kilometers. It was damn tiring, but they did it. They started the tank and evacuated it from the place. Tank sustained just minor damages and will be repaired very, very soon. The job was done by Ukrainian Azov Azov Brigade, as they say here. This guy is the deputy commander of the Azov Tank Battalion. He was fighting in Mariupol, lost one eye, was imprisoned by Russia, and later on was released and now continue his fight for Ukraine. I just told you the general information about the case, but the story is very, very interesting. The video is 13 minutes long. They speak Ukrainian, but anyways, I'll share this video in the video description just below. I think that you may use automatic translation with English subtitles. And now, my friends, don't forget to press your huge like to this video. By doing so, you help me a lot. And as usual, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.